most mortgage companies won't do anything unless you have it inspected. Except for me, mine didn't, and I didn't. So mine's falling apart. I was gonna buy it anyway. So.
You paid twice for yours what I'm selling mine for. So.
It's going to be at least well into March. He hasn't set a date yet.
No, because this is only again just for one little presentation. Check. Okay, good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is Friday, February 27, 2018. The time is 6:36 p.m. This is the McLendon-Chisholm City Council. This meeting is now called to order. Would you please bow with me for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the rain, for the new growth that's going to come from that. And Lord, we thank you for blessings like that. Father, thank you for the city and for this opportunity to do the people's business. And I pray that you'd be glorified in all that we do. Father, bless the people in our city. Watch over us. Keep us safe. Keep us healthy. And Father, I pray that tonight's discussion would be honoring to you in everything that we do. We pray these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen. Please stand for the pledges to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Well, good evening. Meetings of the McLendon-Chisholm City Council serves and represents the citizens that reside inside the city limits of McLendon-Chisholm. In accordance with Texas state law, and except when convening an executive session, all meetings of the City Council are open to the public. However, unless either the presiding officer, the mayor, decides or the council votes to suspend the rules, only the council members may engage in the proceedings. Decorum dictates that those who are present be respectful of the opinions, statements, and actions of the council and other citizens who are present, especially when they may not agree with or take exception to the words or actions of others. Adhering to rules of decorum is less about showing respect to the council, but more about demonstrating respect for oneself and to all citizens of McLendon-Chisholm. All city meetings are governed by Robert's Rules of Order, and no, that is not named after me. There is something actually called Robert's Rules of Order. And as such, decorum, defined as controlled, calm, and well-behaved, shall be required of all those present. The mayor, or in his absence, the mayor pro tem, is the presiding officer of all meetings. The greatest benefit of using Robert's Rules of Order is that it slows down discussion and debate. This requires both sides of an issue to show consideration to other supporting or opposing points of view. Respecting decorum mitigates disagreements from escalating into arguments or worse. It can also help us to bring clarity to a point of view rather than rushing to judgment or to judge the motives of others. Unless the presiding officer chooses to take items out of order, all matters that are before the council will be addressed in order according to the meeting agenda and Robert's Rules of Order. However, action or deliberation on any matter that is not included in the agenda cannot, by rule, be considered at this meeting. Most agendas include an opportunity for citizens that reside inside the city limits to address their representatives on the city council via citizens' comments. This opportunity is not a platform for citizens to express or demand answers from the council. Citizens who have questions of the council will be best served to contact members of the city staff directly, especially if there is an expectation of a timely and informed response. This opportunity is also not a platform for non-citizens or contractors with the city to address the city council. Individuals and groups that are not citizens of the city but wish to address a matter are welcome to contact City Hall. Contractors that have a concern about an issue that may come before the city council should contact the mayor, as the state of Texas has established the mayor of a general law type A city as the chief executive officer. On occasion, the council may suspend the rules to accommodate citizen input from citizens present. In these instances, the following standards shall be respected. Discussion must stay focused on the topic at hand, and decorum is still in effect. As all business conducted at meetings is for the purpose and benefit of the city, unless otherwise indicated, when the public floor is made open, only citizens of the city of McLendon-Chisholm who are present at the meeting may participate. No one may filibuster the meeting, and while the presiding officer may call a citizen that is attempting to filibuster a meeting out of order, as the presiding officer, I shall demur to the sense of the majority of members to make that determination should this event occur. A citizen that wishes to engage the council shall stand at the microphone. We need to put up a microphone and wait to be recognized by the presiding officer before commenting. After being recognized by the presiding officer, the citizen should state their full name, spell it out for more complicated names, and their street address. From that point forward, if they rise to speak again, they may simply restate their name after being recognized. Anyone observing the proceedings electronically are ineligible to participate. Comments or questions posted online during the proceedings while the council is in session are not recognized and may not be addressed. Citizens are not allowed to make motions, including points of order or points of information. For those who believe that an action or ruling of the presiding officer is out of order, or if you believe that an issue is unclear, you may alert the city staff by passing them a note. As with any open meeting, all those present have a right to attend, but no one has the right to disrupt the proceedings. The presiding officer will make every effort to respectfully address anyone who violates decorum should they move or speak out of order. Those who disregard the admonition of the presiding officer to comply with decorum may be asked to leave the proceedings in accordance with Texas state law regarding open meetings by a governing body. Should an individual refuse to leave, the presiding officer may recess the meeting and reconvene after either the individual leaves or is removed by law enforcement. I'm not here, by the way. The acoustics in the meeting chamber magnifies sound and noise, such as phone noise. This is most notable when observers who are present comment to one another during session, which is both distracting to others and stifles the quality of the audio that is being recorded and or broadcast. Therefore, whenever the council is in session, attendees should refrain from extraneous verbal remarks or exchanges inside the chamber, including at the rear of the room. Attendees who wish to converse during session should move their discussion outside of the chamber. The broadcasting of city council meetings is for the convenience of our citizens and to enhance transparency and open government. The Texas Open Meetings Act establishes that while communications through an online forum are available to all logged into the site from where the city council meetings are broadcast, the communications are not occurring at the official and noticed public meeting of the city council and are not readily available for review and discussion by those at the physical meeting. Therefore, those who watch the meetings online are not considered to be in attendance, and therefore, when and if the floor is open to participation by citizens present, the council cannot include comments made remotely during the meeting. I'll now move to item number 4 on the agenda, which is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens who reside inside the city limits of McLendon-Chisholm to speak to the council. Citizens should stand at the podium, state their name and address, and then express their concerns and or questions. Note, state law does not permit the council to deliberate items that are not on the agenda. Concerns may be referred to staff or scheduled for consideration at a future city council meeting. The first person to speak, if you'll please press the button to turn the microphone on. The floor is now open for citizen comments.
Okay. I'm Myron Knutson, 1060 Frontier Trail. It appears from the agenda that the only time that anyone can talk that's from Frontier Trail is now, and so on the agenda it doesn't say that after the...
No, we will be, that is an agenda item, and we will be inviting discussion from homeowners on Frontier Trail.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for asking that question. I'm sorry for the confusion.
My name is Larry Reynolds, 851 South State Highway 205, Two Sisters Ranch. I know we appreciate the email that reminded me of what y'all were going to be talking about tonight, and then I appreciate the coffee chat the other morning, talking about our highway there. You know, my wife got rear-ended at 60 miles an hour, you know, and the traffic is getting so bad out there. And I started thinking about all these other houses and, you know, turning on League Road, especially if they're fixing to start, you know, all that, and the road being like 6 years, you know, out from now, the widening and all that. But that's really what I want to talk about is the widening of the road, too, and it's just something that I'm thinking about. If you've ever been like US 380 between McKinney and Greenville, you know, it's like 6 lanes, 8 lanes wide, but they have a center thing so everyone can get over in that safe zone and make their left turns at any location, all the way down through there. And that seems to me like a whole lot smarter thing than the median. That and or, you know, lower the speed limit down coming through McLendon-Chisholm. I mean, it's just getting so bad out there now. That's just my thoughts on all that. So, but I really like that idea of the wide road with that safe zone all the way down through there, because it's going to happen again. And we've been rear-ended 3 times on 205. Not at just our house, but different parts of the road. So it's bad. Thanks.
Hearing no more comments, I'll close item 4. Thank you, Mr. Nickel. Saving our battery, I appreciate it. We are deferring or postponing item number 5, State of City Address, to the next City Council meeting. Which brings us to something that I think is a lot of fun for our city and something unique. And that is, I'm going to ask Joselito, did I say it correctly? Joselito, come on up. Joselito Batista, this gentleman, he's got, I think, 5 kids, and, oh, no, wait a minute. That's not true at all. Come on up. So, last year, when I got on City Council, and I love March Madness, and so we put out a bracket for citizens who were interested in joining in the March Madness bracket. And through I think ESPN, is that right, what we did through? Okay. And so this punk was one of those who actually challenged me on this, and he did pretty doggone well. Did you get you got the champion too? You chose the champion. How close were you to the score? Pretty close. Okay, so this is something that, you know, city business doesn't have to be serious. We can have fun as a community, and this is one of the great ways to do it, especially with the advent of technology and thanks to ESPN and other sources like that. We're going to continue this. We're about to do our next bracketology coming up, and so if you have not signed up to join the bracket, you can still do that. Just contact the city secretary. We need your email, and then we will send you an email invitation. It's for citizens only. And so a little bit about Joselito. He is currently in the 8th grade at Kane Middle School and is enrolled in pre-AP classes. In other words, he and I would never have hung out if I were at his school when I was his age. All of his core classes, and he is enrolled in the AVID program at Kane. What is AVID?
It prepares you for college. It gives you, it prepares you for college, and it teaches you how to take write notes and helps you organize your backpack.
Okay. So basically, you're not trying to go to A&M where I went. So he's trying to go to a really high-level university. Okay, well, all right. Well, look at A&M. We're still a good university. So he's way ahead of me at this age for sure. He played for the 8th grade football team for Kane Middle School. Plays for the Rockwall Redline Athletic Select baseball team, and is an assistant coach for the 10U Rockwall Giant. You're also right now, are you playing baseball for the school? Or no. Okay, all right, didn't know. He is also part of the Junior National Honor Society at Kane as well. We've got some smart kids in the city. So what we're doing is, this is the first annual Citizen Champion March Madness Tournament Challenge, and this is going to be hanging in the hallway, and Joselito, your name is first on there, so congratulations on that. But also, you're going to be able to take home this March Madness trophy, all right? It says 2017 March Madness Tournament Challenge Champion, awarded to Joselito Batista. So let's give Joselito a big hand for congratulations. That's awesome. You want to say anything? I just have a question. Can you give me a sense of where you think A&M is going to end up in the March Madness?
I don't think they're going to do good, in my opinion. But
Okay, so you're definitely not going to win this year. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take a quick break so we can get the parents and the family up. We're going to take some pictures real quick. Just give us 5 minutes. Thank you. I'll go get it. Is it open?
It's in a cabinet.
Okay. Okay, I'll reconvene the meeting. The time is 6:53. And Joselito and family, I'm just going to warn you, this gets really boring fast, so if y'all want to head out, we're okay with that. I'm just going to warn you. We're going to move to item 7, and that is the city audited financial statements. So I'm going to invite Kyle Caperton, CPA of Murray, Pascal, and Caperton, to present the fiscal year 2016-17 audited financial statements. Mr. Caperton, good to see you. How you doing?
Sir, doing good. Now, he didn't mean,
Oh, turn on the mic.
he didn't mean it was going to be boring yet. This part's going to be exciting.
This is when you want to go.
Okay. All right. So I'm with Murray, Pascal, and Caperton. We're a firm in Forney, Texas, just down the road. We've been doing your city audit for as long as I've been with the firm, which is 5 years. Yeah, we've been.
It's
doing
about
it
8 years.
longer than that. So Gary Murray, our managing partner, is here. Kyle Alice. He's
Can y'all
also
please
here.
stand, Mr. Murray and Mr. Alice? Yep.
I didn't get the memo clearly that we were wearing blue shirts and blue jackets tonight. But those guys are fun. And you should know that Kyle lives here in your city, so he takes a special interest when we get to do this audit. He's looking for things like you would be looking for them if you were coming up here going through everything. So I appreciate all the hard work Lisa and Dave did this year. This was Lisa's first audit. Thought she did a great job. I was really impressed. She knew where to find everything, even though she wasn't the one that put it where it was. And she did a good job with all of those things. I don't know if you guys, how it looks for you. It's probably a PDF or something on your screens. So the page that I'm really just going to talk about for a little bit is page 8. If you want to scroll down to that page, it's a page that has your 2016 versus 2017 balance sheet and income statement. Now we had a meeting last week with Scott and had a chance to talk through some things, and Ray, your city bookkeeper.
With Councilman Turnbull.
Councilman Turnbull.
Go ahead. All right.
And sorry about that.
That's all right.
And then Ray Smith, your city CPA, was there.
And Mr. Smith is here, correct? All right, Mr. Smith, thank you.
Yep, and he does a great job. So that's a third-party source taking care of all your bookkeeping. So it's just another control that the city has in place, I think is a good thing. Okay, so on top of page 8 is your balance sheet. So there you can see 2016 as of September 30th, 2016 versus September 30th, 2017. You can see your governmental activities, your business activities, which pretty much are just the little bit of utilities and sewer that you have going on in Sonoma Verde for a total government activities. All of those capital assets are, for the most part, all of the infrastructure that you've been given as far as the Sonoma Verde Phase 1 assets, roads and sewers and water lines and everything in Sonoma Verde. But that also obviously includes City Hall here. So that's part of your $12 million in total capital assets. You see that you have your city debt right there of $1.8 million. Leaves you a city unrestricted. You have your investment in capital assets, but then you have city unrestricted assets of $538,000. And that's basically just saying taking your cash in the bank less all the debt that you have against that and other liabilities, and what's left over to be able to be used by the city, $538,000. On the bottom half of that page is your income statement, and that's showing pretty much your property taxes, your sales taxes, your franchise fees, those sources of income for the city, your permit fees. All of those income line items total up to $1.1 million for the city, another $300,000 for business activities, sewer tap fees, connections, that sort of thing, for a total of $1.4 million of revenue this year for the city. Largest that it's ever been. Okay, then you have program expenses. Most of those expenses are just operations of the city. Normal routine things here at City Hall, payment of debt payments. You didn't really spend any new money this year on new capital assets, so there was no capital expenditures there. Also included in those numbers are depreciation. That was kind of a big topic in our meeting with Councilman Turnbull the other day. I thought it was really productive. I think everybody got on the same page about how to address that going forward in the budget. And so I think things will be good on that front going forward. Okay, there were no more developer contributions this year. All of them had taken place because all of Phase 1 Sonoma Verde was already finished before 17. I think Phase 2 may be getting going this year, so then I would expect, if anything were to be completed this year, turned over to the city at this end of this year. Everything else in this 40-something page document is just a breakdown of those numbers and a lot of words about those numbers. So if you have any further questions, feel free to email me. I'll get back with you as quick as I can. Kyle lives right down the street. He'll swing by, whatever needs to happen. Okay, the other audit that you have in front of you is the...
Hold on, Kyle. Before we go to that, I want to make sure there's no questions from council on this.
Okay.
Members, is there any questions? Thank you. Please proceed. Sorry.
Okay. Then the other audit that we do for the city is an audit for the Sonoma Verde Public Improvement District. And that's a really basic audit from the standpoint of all that we're looking at is the PID assessment fees for the families that live there in Phase 1 of Sonoma Verde, and the bond payments that are being, or the debt payments that are being made with those assessments. And so it's looking at a bunch of bank statements, it's looking at debt schedules, and you also have a representative from your PID back here with Abdi. And he's been at the meeting, and it was really helpful also for us to all be on the same page.
Members of council, is everyone familiar with Abdi? Yes. Sim? Yeah, everybody, okay, thank you.
Okay. So here on the PID financial statements, everybody's able to see these also, the PID financials. On page 3, you have your balance sheet. You can see there all the various restricted cash accounts. So all the assessments that come in, Abdi presents the budget. All of those assessments come in, and they are either to pay debt or restricted for specific things in the future. The PID bond debts at the end of the year are $10.1 million. And so you will be paying for those for a long time. Page 4 is the income statement for the PID. Pledged income this year, $885,000. And nearly all of that was used to pay down. I know.
I've got a blue spinning circle.
Are we on page 4? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. We're on page 4. This will be the last thing I'm going to say, so it's okay. The total revenue for the PID this year, $889,000. And of that, $396,000 was used to pay down interest. And I'm going to say, looking at the previous page on debt, nearly all the rest of that was used to pay down principal on those bonds. Everything else in the financial statements on the PID also show just kind of a breakdown of those numbers. We technically had to transfer some assets out of the PID this year, but that was just to catch up with what had already been done in the city. And your PID principal payments next year will take out another $175,000 in principal, along with $387,000 in interest, and that schedule continues to go until the PID bonds are paid off. The most important thing that came from our meeting with Mr. Turnbull is that the PID assets are transferred to the city, and so the city does own those. So any improvements that are going to be needing to be made on those, let's say when they're out of warranty in the next 5 to 10 years, those will be the responsibility for the city, but the PID will be allowed to assess more fees to cover those at that time. But at the same time, the city's been collecting property tax from the people that live there. There's been other sewer assessments and things like that that have come to the city. So there, it won't just be the PID's gonna do everything. The city will also kind of be connected with some of those activities.
Wait a minute. I'll have,
Wait,
would you like me to take a stab at that?
I would love for you to.
Okay. So during this audit, isn't part of the PID assessments, a growing percentage of that continues to go to maintenance, that goes into an account for those, specifically towards the repairs of any infrastructure that may need to be done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you making a statement saying that, well, the city will have to, even though it's a city liability, the assessments from the PID takes care of those expenses, that the city will not incur additional expenses on top of that.
Yes, the assessments are building in a reserve. I think it was around 20,000 a year. And so you can do the math with me. If we collect 20,000 a year for the next 10 years and have 200,000, 200,000 doesn't fix a whole lot of roads or a whole lot of sewer lines or a whole lot of water lines and that sort of thing. And we kind of talked about this, evaluating whether or not enough is being put in the reserve for that. You're also getting some sewer reserves. There's a lot to think about with that, and that's what came out of that meeting. And we all got on the same page on that.
Right, because from what I understand, is like this year it'd be 20,000, but as more homes grow and as less principal you're having to pay towards bonds, more is going to maintenance, because you're not having to build up, say the first 5 years here, a lot in that maintenance account, but 5 years through 10, instead of 20,000 a year, it should be significantly more going into that account. Is that?
Well, I think you were right when you said for phase one, it is 20 a year, but each phase will have their own reserves. So it's not, the 20 is going to be used for the whole neighborhood. Each phase will have their own reserves, and so there will be more and more built up in that. But I think that's it for the reserves. I think everything else is going towards principal and interest of debt payments.
Kyle
Yes, sir.
and Abdi, would you step up here too, please? No. Hi. When we met, and correct me if I was wrong, the 20,000 a year, roughly, wasn't it $62 a lot, something like that, that we're collecting? That is the M&O portion, and that is controlled by the city. We can raise and lower that as we think necessary. But one thing that Wayne said that I think is incorrect is that that portion has nothing to do with the interest and principal portion of the assessment.
That is correct, Councilman. Good evening, Mayor and Council, and the Abdi and Ward Public Improvement District Administrators. The statement that you made is correct. The amount that is collected as an M&O is an amount that's collected under the administrative expense portion of the Chapter 372 Texas Local Government Code. And anything collected as administrative expense cannot be used for paying debt service. So that means the money that we collect for M&O, money that we collect for district administration, can only be used for those designated purposes, and it cannot be used for interest and principal.
And likewise, it has nothing to do with the amount that they're assessed for the interest and principal on each lot.
That is correct. And,
Okay.
to that point, the interest and principal component is already fixed because we're working off of a debt service schedule that has already been approved when the bonds are sold. So that component is pretty stable. It's fixed. It doesn't change. The only element that is approved each year that gets presented for council consideration is the administrative expense and the M&O component, and then that can be adjusted up and down depending on the need for the district.
Okay, and while I have both of you up there, we discussed transferring the reserves. to the city, because the city is carrying the expense on the book. We should have the offsetting reserve to balance our books out. That's correct, right? That's what we agreed to? And MuniCap has no problem bringing that money over to us. We can get that set up?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One of the things, as I mentioned during our meeting, it's important that the amounts that are collected, that are transferred to the city are designated for that specific M&O component
Yes.
of the PID and not used for any other purpose, because as I mentioned, during our meeting, Chapter 372 is very specific about, sources and uses. If we collect money for M&O for Phase 1 PID improvements, and that money can only be used for Phase 1 M&O PID improvements, that's it. We can't even use the Phase 1 M&O component we collected to Phase 2 or future phase components. So that's the one thing, and with that kind of, expectation and caveat, I think it's important that the money gets transferred to the city and held in account specifically, designated for that purpose.
And to meet that requirement, a resolution defining the reserve account and restricting its use would meet your requirements?
I think for the minimum, a minute approval by council, specifically directing, city staff and then city accountants to make sure that the account is held specifically for the designated purpose as approved by council every year in the service and assessment plan annual update.
Okay. That's all of my questions. And guys, all of you that were patient and got it down to my level at that meeting, I appreciate it. And I came away knowing a whole lot more than what I did going in, and I appreciate your time.
All right, so I have some questions. So it was, what, a year and a half ago that we brought all you guys in, Russell Phillips, everybody, to explain the PID, to go through everything, and we spent 2-3 hours going through the books, how we got the PID, all of these things. One of the fundamental questions, question that I asked is, are we assessing enough on the maintenance? Correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, because we were both there. I asked, are we bringing in enough on that maintenance side to ensure that the citizens of McLendon-Chisholm who are not living in Sonoma Verde are not going to bear that burden? And we were assured, in no uncertain terms, yes, we are putting enough money in there. Kyle, it almost sounds like you're saying, well, no, it doesn't almost sound like it. It really sounds like you're saying that we're not pulling enough, charging it, or enough money is not being put into that account.
Kyle, I think I can answer this. We addressed that in the meeting, and we can adjust that amount, but honestly, there's no way that we can front load it to where if there was a major expense, let's say a sinkhole hit the roundabout and
The roundabout's got insured.
Well, let's just use that as an example.
No, a street, a big portion of street has a,
Right.
okay.
So there's no way we would have that much money this quick. So we would have to help pay for it and repair it, but we can be paid back. Is that by the citizens?
No, by the
By the
by the PID.
homeowners in the PID.
By the PID, okay.
Yeah. So, yes, we might have to step up and use our borrowing power to do this, but we would be reimbursed. And, I mean, honestly, you would have to levy a very large assessment, M&O assessment, to try to get a reserve built up quick enough to be able to handle any type of major road in the first 5 years.
Okay.
That's just not gonna happen.
Okay, but Kyle, I appreciate, I like straight talk. You kind of gave me straight talk. What I'm asking is, you guys do audits for a lot of different cities. Obviously, you're dealing with a lot of different PIDs, correct?
No, this is it. This is our PID.
This is it?
This is our only PID. We do multiple cities, but none of them have PIDs like you guys.
What's so different about it? Is it because it's a new development and usually,
You just don't have a client that has a PID?
We just don't have a client that has a PID.
Yeah, that's it. But so, I guess my question is, how do we know?
Right, I think the main reason that we know more about this bid, I mean, like I said, Kyle lives there. We know what he's been communicated as a citizen that lives there. It is just going to be, I don't know how clearly it's been communicated to everybody that lives in Sonoma Verde, that if something goes wrong, your assessments could go up dramatically to cover that. You live here, you're fixing what's in your neighborhood. Like Councilman Turnbull said, the city may have to front load that expense, but the bid assessment would increase and then refund the city for it, however that payment had to be made. And all that we were saying is, when he said you're covering the expenses, what that means is you have millions and millions of dollars of assets now on your books that are depreciating, and they're depreciating at hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but you're putting a $20,000 a year on reserve.
Wow.
In most utility districts, so we do audit utility districts that are very similar to a bid. Whatever they're depreciating, they're putting that in their budget as a replacement reserve. So they're building into their rates what it's gonna take to replace those water lines, sewer lines, whatever. That was one of the things that we talked about in our meeting and got on the same page about, is that you can budget for replacement reserves. That's how you get ahead of that.
So this was a discussion that you had, placement reserves?
Excuse me?
You had placement reserve conversation, so you know the timeline and how to achieve this?
Well, one of the things that we mentioned was having the city engineer and the development engineer come out and appraise the roads again, see if there's anything that they think that needs to be corrected. Also to put a value on what it would take to replace it, so that we can have a better idea of what type of assessment we would need to levy. So it's an ongoing thing that we're gonna have to do probably every 2 to 3 years, as far as getting a revaluation of the cost of repair.
So when you guys come back again for the annual increase, I think it's what, May, June?
Right, it's actually in August.
In August? Well, we're gonna have to get that, we're gonna have to look into that.
Yes, we'll have to have that done, and that's really, again, Abdi, correct me if I'm wrong, that is up to us to set the M&O portion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
And
so,
if I can add one more thing to that, when the PID was originally structured, this point was actually one of the things that was discussed in great detail. And the $62 per lot assessment level was an idea, an amount that was estimated by the project engineer at the time. But the understanding at that point was that it was impossible to tell exactly how much is sufficient as an M&O. But, and again, we plugged in a provision in the service and assessment plan that allows the city to levy any additional required M&O or major repair assessment. And then the second understanding was for these M&O amount to be reevaluated in 3 or 4 years, actually once the assets were built. So the process that we're contemplating going through was something that was originally contemplated to begin with. So it is important that it gets reevaluated every 3, 4 years between the project engineer and, most importantly, the city engineer, so the city council will have a defendable ground for levying any amount that's required to set up that reserve and maintain a certain reserve level.
One more question?
So on the PID assessment, just so I make sure I understand from the last time, is that any assessment that is done in one, that's already, completed, has to stay in those funds to repair anything in that phase 1. Phase 2 comes along, money's there. So when we talk about transferring money into city, I guess, accounts or budgets, those would have to be grouped into, you know, say, next year there's gonna be 1 and 2. And so we'll see 1 and 2 in 2 different amounts. Was that how you're thinking about it, Councilman?
Well, I would refer that to Ray. For me, if I was doing it, yes, I would keep it in different buckets so that there were no questions. But as far as whether we can do that with the accounting software and actually have it all in a pool together, or whether we have to have separate accounts, that's really up to us to decide which way to do it.
Because I think that's going to be critical in making sure, just on a visual, okay, here's what each section, each phase is accumulating, you know, up. Because when, I think, again, a year and a half ago, it was kind of, well, it all kind of just gets lumped in, and then you repair the roads wherever they are. Now it's a little different if it's saying phase 1 money has to stay in phase 1 money, you know, so, okay.
And to add to that, actually the budget that we present before you each August will segregate each one, because the debt structure for each phase will be different. Phase 1 has its own bonds. We have interest and principal structure for phase 1. We have district administration and M&O for phase 1. So that comes to you as one package that you've approved, you know, this past summer. Next year, phase 2 will be added, but phase 2 will be a separate additional addition to that. So you will have an opportunity to kind of evaluate each phase on its own, because the budgets will be separate.
Just out of curiosity, do you guys think that it would be wise, since phase 2, we don't have any houses built there, right, yet?
Not yet, I don't believe.
So, I mean, would it be wise to pump that sucker up to a more aggressive rate so that people moving in are not given, I mean, because the way it sounds, we could be recommending an increase in that assessment to phase 1 homeowners, and they're already struggling with the.
Before we even do that, I mean, that's why I was suggesting about having somebody to you know, assess it with like the engineers.
Right. Well, that's what he's saying, but that's what I'm wondering is do we need to have that mindset? Because I mean, the cost of concrete just continues to skyrocket, and I mean, construction, all these things, it's hard to predict what things are going to cost in the future. So I just think we have to keep that in mind, and we can't forget this conversation when we meet with the engineers.
Abdi, we will be setting the rate for phase 2 in August, correct?
Yeah, the annual amount to be collected for both phase 1 and phase 2 will be presented for your consideration and approval.
So, yes, we do need to discuss this with the engineers, make sure that we know approximately what we should have for both phases and start that one off at the right level. And I'm not saying that we're not at the right level with phase 1.
Right. We don't know.
That's it. We just don't know. So
Yeah, and the point is, I mean, because the rate that we're at right now was based upon the recommendation of the engineers who did do the study. So what Abdi had said, I mean, we have to reevaluate it every 4 years. So that's all we're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it without it. Any other comments, questions? Abdi, thank you. Kyle, thank you and your team. Great job. I do want to just state for transparency's sake, you guys have been doing our audit for how many years? 8, 10?
Probably. I'd have to go back to like our first year that you guys were, I'm the only one that was involved in.
And nothing that, and there's nothing about what you guys have done that we have found to be wanting or lacking in any way, shape, manner, or form. But as you know, we have decided to find another audit firm, not because of anything you guys have done, but because of the general practices, best practices that has come through Congress, and that you, in most corporations, have to have a new audit firm every 5 years. Is that right?
I don't think they have to. I think it's just best practice.
Best practices, right. In a lot of the ministry organizations I work with through ECFA, we recommend changing the audit firm every 5 years. So you're going to continue doing the PID audit, and then maybe after 5 years of that audit firm doing the city audit, we'll come back to you. But I wanted to make sure that citizens understood that there's nothing about what you guys have done that's been anything but fantastic. We appreciate all the care and time that you guys have put into this and the recommendations that you've made. We are taking your recommendations seriously and implementing them, so thank you very much. Appreciate it, Kyle. Thank you, guys. All right, very good. And Ray, but do not leave. I have a word. I need a word with you offline real quick, but just don't leave. Okay. So with that, we are moving to item number 9, which is Frontier Trail. Yes,
Mayor?
ma'am, Mrs. City
I think we
Secretary.
need a motion to accept the audits as presented.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you so much. We do need a motion to accept the audit as presented. Mr. Turnbull.
So moved.
Mr. Turnbull has moved to accept the fiscal year 2016-17 audited financial statement. And can we do it in one motion, or do they need to be separate?
As long as you say it, I can do it in one motion.
Okay. And accept the fiscal year 2016-17 Sonoma Verde PID audited financial statements. Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Orchard is seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, motion passes by unanimous consent without objection. Item number 9 is going to be next, and as Councilmember Balcom takes the floor, I'm going to grab the handheld mic so that you guys don't have to keep coming up to the podium. How many of you are citizens who live on Frontier Trail? Would you just give us a, okay, very good. Welcome. We're glad to have you. So we want to talk, we want to have a conversation, we want to listen, and we hope that you'll listen too. So let's have a good discussion. Councilmember Balcom has some handouts for you. Lisa, I think. Oh yeah, let's take 5 as we set up, because I want to make sure we've got the visuals set up too. So we'll take 5 minutes. Yeah, you see what's happened is you've got in, see, you're in the quadrant, you're in the, so what we probably need to do is close whips. How do you, like, shut down the program, like, when it's not responding? Do you know how to do that?
I usually just X out of it. I usually just X out of it.
Okay. So get back into it, and it should work. Let me get the heat.
Well, it worked earlier today. I came in here and tested it, and I said it worked earlier today. I came in here and tested it.
This was on the floor. Does it have to do with the door?
I don't know,
Or
but
is
I will hold
there
on to
by-
it.
I think I will.
Thank you.
I don't know why this isn't working.
It's not a battery.
No, I agree. Did it work? Is it working?
I think it's trying to.
Oh, wait a minute. I think the TV's working. I think they time out at, oh. No,
I
now,
tested
now
it
it is
this
off.
afternoon.
No, it's not you. All right, so
I did that, and I got that little
you got the.
circle.
You gotta be kidding me. I hate this thing.
I do too. It's not very user-friendly.
It's awful. I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna unplug it.
Start again.
Yep. So go ahead and close out of that. Oh, by the way, you are on the WIPS network, right?
Okay, we're out. Do we have enough handouts?
I'm gonna see if this will work. This is the problem because it was green, but now it's red. So. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yay! It's on. Check 1 2.
Do what? Okay,
All right, you know what, you're gonna have to go without it.
that's fine.
I'll just tell people that they're gonna have to go to the. Right. Huh? Okay, Lisa. Lisa, are we still recording? All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call this meeting back to order. Thank you for your patience. We were just having a quick conversation, by the way, about what you just heard on the PID, on the fact that the streets for Sonoma Verde are owned by the city. And understand that has been probably one of the biggest problems with the PID, because the city has an obligation for that. That was it's neither here nor there. It is what it is at this point. So this conversation is completely different, and I want to make sure that everyone's aware. If you want to talk about the PID stuff with me, more power to you. I'd love to sit down with you and explain some of it, how we got there. But that's really not germane to the topic at hand at this time. So with that, I'm going to move to item number 9 and hand the floor to Mrs. Balcom. Mrs. Balcom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to the City Hall meeting. Out of curiosity, did you get invited by a neighbor, or did you receive an email, or was it a letter that actually brought you to the meeting? I'm just out of curiosity if you want to.
How many of you put in a letter? How many of you were email? And then how many of you were a friend? Were invited by a friend? All right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. Everybody has a packet? Okay, awesome. All right. So one of the things that is concerning for me is that when we start hearing a lot of complaints or people, not necessarily from citizens, but also from vendors, we start to take notice that, okay, well, we need to address some issues and look into it. So we started getting, I actually had to contact the United States Postal Service over in Rockwall, and they brought to my attention that they are no longer delivering mail to you as of December because of the road and the road condition, and that they were having to pay for the maintenance, and also I think there was a couple of tows that happened on your road. So just to kind of give you insight, that's what I was told by the postmaster. And then, so I started doing some little bit of research, and then I noticed that we have a citizen, her name is Leticia Sorensen, who she has been an avid spokesperson for your road, and she would comment about the road conditions. And so I listened to that, as well as some other citizens who have made comments about that, about your road. So one of the complaints that often comes out is, well, why hasn't the city fixed Frontier Trail? And to be straightforward is, you know, besides the fact that we are a general law type A municipality that has exclusive control over the city streets, the city cannot use public funds for any private purpose, such as maintaining a privately owned road. So I created a presentation to encourage you guys to look into reinstating or going back into an HOA, which you guys do have deed restrictions, as well as HOA documents that was done back in 1984. And in your packet, you will see copies of that. I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with any of the documents, or have seen them, or if actually are aware that you guys had an HOA that was formed back then. Is anybody aware that y'all had an HOA that was formed back in 1984?
It's never been created because it was set
Okay. Did you want to say something?
Okay, come on up to the point. I'm so sorry. We couldn't get the hand mic working. I apologize. Tell us your name and your address and.
Okay, my name is Linda Alexander. We live on Frontier Trail, 900 Frontier Trail. We've lived out there 24 years.
Wow.
When we moved out there, we were told that once the property, 80% of the property was sold, it would be turned into a public street, and we wouldn't have to take care of it. Okay? And it was owned by Jim Hunt, but I do believe he passed away. And
Okay.
that might be why it wasn't turned over.
Well,
But
you actually there was 3 that was in there, and 2 of them I have discovered they have deceased. The third person I have not discovered where he is currently, if he still exists or not. But these are the documents that show that there was a HOA that was formed.
yeah, years ago, but we haven't
was
met.
it was
When we
over
first
34
moved out
years.
there was an HOA, but there hasn't been an HOA. We haven't had anybody do an HOA in 22, 23 years.
Well,
So what is your, can I just help me understand, what is your understanding of what an HOA is?
Homeowners Association, I mean, it's just a tell you what to do or what not to do with your property. You know?
you want to give an example of what
Well, and so, and it's helpful because I'm in an HOA for the first time. When we moved into Quail Creek, so we're new to the whole HOA thing as well. And but an HOA is a legal entity established by that the state recognizes as a governing body that has powers granted by property owners. Property owners, when you sign the papers at closing, one of those papers included in that is basically acknowledging and agreeing to the covenants, which is basically a promise that I'll live by these standards, and the HOA establishes basically what those covenants are. And so there are 2 points to it. One is the legal entity, which has a 4 corners of a document, which is a legal contract basically, and the other is the governing authority. That is a group that governs, that is elected to govern that HOA. What it sounds like to me is that no one has ever assembled to elect a governing body among homeowners once that 80% was sold since the HOA was instituted by the developer. Is that a correct understanding?
Yes, sir.
Well, now since these 2 of the 3, and I'll give you the names, is Lucky Jim Hunt, or Jim Hunt, that should have been on the documents. The other gentleman is Dale Lane. He's also deceased. He's also deceased. No worries, you're fine. Sir, the names of the 2 deceased was Lucky Jim Hunt, but on the documents he would be listed as Jim Hunt. And then the other one is Dale Lane. He's also deceased. The one that I don't know where his whereabouts is Richard Green.
Never heard of those
They're-
other 2 guys. The only one I ever heard of was Jim Hunt.
Okay, they're on these documents that are in your packet. So this is an encouragement that what you would need to consult an attorney to get to move forward, because they have deceased. You can go ahead and try to elect someone from your community to to basically establish your HOA like how it's supposed to be run.
We have to contact an attorney.
It's honestly, when you're dealing with finances and so many different people, and I mean, I personally would recommend that. I would feel much more comfortable if if I was in that position with you guys. I would contact an attorney to just basically formulate all this stuff and get it right in order.
Yeah, because if you guys do something, if you guys do everything right, there could be a property owner who goes, heck, we don't want to be a part of an HOA, and they contest something, put you in court, and then you're tied up in court and find out that there's a technicality that what you're trying to do can't do, that kind of thing. That's the only reason she's saying you may want to consult an attorney. Yes, sir. Come on up to the microphone and give us your name and address.
My name is Emmanuel Arias, and everyone calls me Manny.
All right, Manny.
Moved here from Austin, Texas, June of last year, and we're building a house there on 681 Frontier Trail.
Great.
And we, by choice, love the country, right? So we wanted to be in the country, and that was a decision that my wife and I made. And we also, like you said, we didn't like the HOAs. Like, hey, we like McLendon-Chisholm is an awesome growing city. Similar to that of Austin, is a small city that became a big city, and that's happening here. So it's experiencing some growing pains, clearly, right? And one of the things was we like the idea of not having HOAs, right? Now, there's the pros and the cons of HOAs. You get the benefit of everybody kind of following the guidelines, and it increases the property value, whereas somebody telling you what to do and winning that privacy, right? So the pros and the cons. I don't mind either one of them. I prefer not having HOAs personally, but because there was a developer at one point that I'm not sure came in 23 years ago or 1980, whatever it was.
34 years.
And they developed a road that was built improperly, right? They developed a road that did not have the proper drainage, because you could tell there was at one point there was asphalt, right? And the dirt in this area is a very bad dirt. It expands. The potential rise of the dirt is about 7 inches. So it's wet and expands. Expand and contract, expand and contract. So you gotta have a road that's built properly, right? So we can't just put a Band-Aid on this road. What you guys are experiencing in Sonoma Verde, I know you told me not to bring it up, but it's an idea, cheap insurance, is to have the design properly. I don't know if it's happening or not, but you guys are obviously worried about whether it's going to break down, if it's going to fall apart, right? So cheap insurance is build it right the first time. That's what you got to do. So you got to make sure that you have proper drainage. You got to make sure that the ground's being properly prepped and graded, and drainage is proper, right? So if we get a temporary Band-Aid to fix this road, we're going to get nowhere. I read through the documents real quick as it was handed out, and there's the HOA option, there's the option of possibly increasing taxes, which I don't know if there was maybe I misread that.
Yeah, it's not increasing taxes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a difference between your road versus the city roads, and there's only so much that we can't do that for you.
Okay.
You guys, that's why forming an HOA is to be able to come together as a community to figure out what you need to do. Because like you were saying, it's a Band-Aid. It's been Band-Aiding for years.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure, there's quite a number of you that are frustrated because here you are, correct me if I'm wrong, there's one group of people that are spending hundreds and thousands of dollars over a course of time to just repair one spot, whereas there's other people that are not doing anything. Now, am I incorrect in saying that? Okay, so it is a problem for everyone on that street because it's going to affect you. It's a matter of not an if, but a when.
Yeah.
If someone from the emergency services were to come down that street, it could lead into a bad situation.
Correct.
We want to make sure that we, you know, we have our vehicles to be able to get to that person, whoever it is. And if it's a stormy, rainy night, how often does the water flood up on that road? Is it pretty bad to where it's impassable?
Water doesn't flood, it just stays muddy all the time.
Improper
Okay.
drainage.
So, sure.
This is what we run through every day. This is a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
What you can't tell here is how deep that hole is. You can
Yeah.
hear your body and there's nobody home.
I like this lady. It's like, thank you.
I mean, seriously, this is what we deal with.
Well, and the point that needs to, you have to understand, and this is one of the things that Mrs. Balcom added to this packet is a paving history of Kentwood Drive.
Yeah.
And understand, the streets in neighborhoods are not owned by the city. They're not the responsibility of the city. They are the responsibility of homeowners. Quail Creek, we are responsible for our roads. We just did an assessment for our streets, and it's a significant. Herb's laughing. I mean, because it is. It's a significant. Some people took 3 years to pay because we're paying significant amount of money. Mr. Nickel, what did you guys pay to? $1,000 a year assessment in Kentwood. And so, you know, every neighborhood has this problem. Here's the difference. Kentwood, you guys have an HOA. Quail Creek has an HOA. We have governing authority to assemble in an annual meeting, and state law allows us, if we have 67%, I believe, on a special assessment that goes above 10%, for if 67% of the homeowners agree to a special assessment of whatever that may be, you can do a payout of whatever, then that has to happen. And those homeowners that don't want to pay, they don't have a choice. They would have a lien placed on their home. There are legal remedies that the HOA has, that the state gives them, that you don't have right now without an HOA. The city of McLendon-Chisholm simply does not have the power or authority to come in and fix that street. What Mrs. Balcom is trying to do is, number one, she sees citizens in crisis. We've most of us have actually just said, hey, we got to go check this place out. Are the roads really that bad? And yeah, we've seen exactly what you're talking about. And none of us are going to go back down that road. You have to, exactly. But the thing is, we can't force this issue. That's what we're trying to say. So the city cannot take on this responsibility. What we're trying to do, and Ms. Balcom is doing, is, even though this is out of her purview, she has no authority to do so. She's been kind of working on the research, and we've been kind of beating the bushes. I've gone and looked at grants to see if there's a grant out there, a foundation or something like that might give money to this. The problem is, the area, you guys are too wealthy, and there's not enough houses. Yep. Bottom line, when I look at private family foundation, when I look at state grants, yes, sir, Mr. Nichols, do you want to step up to the microphone?
I had one more question, but I'll get to it later.
Okay, Manny, we'll just stay up there so that we can get it.
We had the same issue trying to assess a huge fee when we decided to repave our road 2 years ago, and we had some people that we assumed would be unwilling or unable to make that kind of a payment. So I went to the bank, several banks, and asked about getting a loan, and several of them were willing to do that, but we absolutely had to have the legal HOA with the power to assess and collect the fees.
And create the lien on the house. So that's the collateralizing that loan.
And
so
just
yes.
on page 8, I'm just trying to give you guys solutions, because I know that there's a frustration, and I see that there's calls coming in. We're getting complaints from the vendors or the service providers, and saying, like, you know, what can we do about this road? But they have no idea that it's a private road. They're just trying to service you guys. So the 3 examples that I gave was, you know, the public improvement district, which is PID. You got to hear a little bit about that today. And again, I would recommend consulting with an attorney, but that would require you guys to get together and have like a meeting about what you guys want to look forward to. And again, try to like think about that this is to fix the problem, not to do a Band-Aid, because it's getting to the point where you've got your service providers who are not wanting to provide service on that street because they're concerned with their vehicles. So, and then the other two options, reactivate your HOA and then do like an ad hoc committee that's just to take over figuring out to do an assessment on the road and to collect fees to be able to pay for that road. And I also included on page 9, it's just to kind of give you an understanding that there is a transportation code and it maintains only for city-owned roads, so that you guys would see that this is what we would have to look at. But anyway, I just wanted to give you these ideas of solutions, and then also, I'm not sure if you guys were aware about there's other options for you to consider about your mail, which was a cluster box. I don't know if the USPS talked to you guys about that. And I went ahead and just did a couple of research items on how much that would cost you, and I labeled it on page 6. And if you don't want to go down that route, you could also do just simply doing a scan email, and there's a sign-up thing that you can do for free. Another thing that I have in this, I am so sorry. I guess I have a light voice. I was saying about the cluster box was another option instead of doing a P.O. box, but that were, and I put it on page 6 on how much that would cost, and I also included the information in regard to what all the things that it would entail with like security. The security locks it would have to come through the USPS, and also the mounting bolts. That's a separate issue. You can't get it with the cluster box when you purchase it. So, and I would assume that you guys would come together and just split the cost altogether. Or you could do a sign-up option. It's completely free to where the USPS will just scan all your letters, and then you would get an email to let you know that this is what's in your inbox or your postal box. So. Does anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Manny, I wanted to say something just on the whole HOA thing. Yeah. Yes or no on HOA. The reason I would recommend you guys go ahead and move forward on the HOA is once you have established through 67% of your homeowners if you can get 67% to agree on these things and to establish that HOA. And by the way, all of the laws for the state of Texas for HOAs was dramatically changed in 2012, so a lot of these are new laws. But bottom line, you can go through these deed restrictions and take out the things that you think are ridiculous, so you don't have to create a tighter HOA. Really focus on your streets, because I think, and I know some of you on Frontier Trail, you guys want to live freely, and that's great. So you guys can make the decision. You can set your own destiny by doing that, but it gives you some ability to go with the street. So, Mr. Manning, I apologize. You had another question.
Yeah, you mentioned the deed restrictions, and it talks about building a log home and 1,500 square feet and the rules that it says that it has, but nobody's really following those deed restrictions anymore. So yeah, that would be good for us to rewrite whatever those new restrictions are, right? That fits for the community that lives there. My question is, what makes it a private road and not a public road? Why are we singled out right there from it being a private road and not considered a public road?
You're not singled out at all. In fact, the Sonoma Verde is the first development to ever have this kind of agreement, and this PID was created so that it basically funded the development for the developer. So it was basically the city wanting this development. And despite the fact that they never asked citizens whether or not it was okay to just abolish the 1.5 acre minimum home site standard, that's neither here nor there. But that's the first thing. In fact, City of McLendon-Chisholm owns 3 or 4 roads total that add up to a total of 3 miles. But every other development in the City of McLendon-Chisholm, Kingsbridge, is private. They have their own roads. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kingsbridge has approximately 3 miles of concrete roads, and we just, this last annual meeting, well, actually it was since our last meeting, assessed all of the homeowners $2,000 to build a reserve to repair the roads as it comes up. So
That's not a bad idea either, right?
yeah, and that's on top of our regular assessment to maintain the property. That was just to build a reserve so that we could be a little bit ahead of the situation that Kentwood, who is located right behind us, has dealt with. So there isn't any,
So we're not the only ones.
no, there isn't any development.
Everybody.
Everybody.
We're all like that.
All right.
So-
That was my question.
The PID option is available for you guys, but the problem is that you guys have to come together and make that, to vote for that.
And I think here's what, you know, I've seen through, you know, having the coffee chats and open sessions with citizens and then, you know, letters going out and emails and so on, and then tonight was that you've never had the opportunity to kind of all come together. And it was each individual kind of, well, I'm gonna take care of this or that, or, well, that's a public road, that's private. And so really, what this session is all about is not telling you what to do at all. This was just saying, here's the options in which you can do it. It's up to you now, you know, from after, you know, this, and we'll happy to help in whatever way, research and you know, do stuff. You know, but again, we're just trying to, you know, make sure that our citizens, you know, have that voice and that you come together as one, because I think I saw a few people shaking hands, introducing themselves, and you live on the same street, you know, which is not uncommon, you know, nowadays. But I think the communication now is going to be amongst yourselves to figure out, hey, are those good options? Are they bad options? Because you don't have to, you know, you can just go, all right, hey, we need money, and everybody comes together and you fix it. You don't need an HOA, you know, but as a long-term solution, here are some ideas. But again, this is not us trying to tell you what to do. It's just these are the things that we've come up with, and maybe you have your own ideas.
Yes, sir. If
You'll state your name and address.
My name is Adrian Steffen, and I live at 941 Frontier. And we have just finished building this house. We moved in about 3 weeks, a month ago.
Wow.
And
Welcome to the...
We love the house so far, but we definitely don't like the road. And to be honest with you, we have many friends that want to come see the house, but unfortunately, we've told them you're either going to have to come with a big truck, or you know, you don't come at all, or you drop you off, we pick you up at Walmart or something and bring you over, because we don't want to fix your car.
Yeah.
So aside the joke, I mean, it is really serious. It's really bad. I got 4 kids, and I got to take them to school every day. And it's not fun. I mean, we're at a point where we're probably going to have to get a new car because this one's already breaking down. So bottom line is, do I like HOAs? I don't. Do I want a good road? I do. Would I much rather not have an HOA and have a bad road? Probably not. And I'm sure of that. So I'm happy. Mr. Wayne mentioned something really good, is that we're all here together. And that's a first for me. I owned the lot for about 2 years, but we just built the house, and I didn't get to meet everybody. But I'm sure we'll get a lot of them now that we live in the house. So basically, I have a question for the audience, if you allow me to ask.
Please.
Sure.
Just like I said, you know, I don't like HOAs, and I would much rather live free and not have an HOA, but if it comes down to fixing the road and making an HOA, I would opt for that. just for the road's sake. And for our sake, for, you know, not fixing our vehicles. I'm sure that, you know, everybody spends so much money on fixing their vehicles, that when you break, you know, you, bottom line, you know, you would much rather fix the road, you have a good road, and you're not fixing your vehicles. So my question for the audience is, who would much rather opt for the HOA and have a good road?
Well, who is against it? Why don't we, that might be an
I
easier
guess
question.
that could be too.
League Road residents, is there anyone against? Frontier Trail, sorry. Frontier Trail, I apologize. Who is against it? Wow.
You know, let me encourage you also that, you know, this community can come and schedule a date to come here, like during the week or even on Saturday or something, to just have a meeting to kind of discuss these issues. So you're welcome.
That's a good idea. I did not know we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
For free.
Yeah, it's free, and you can get the chairs set up. You can have a little, you know, snacks or having a little dinner or something, you know, and just kind of just talk about what y'all are wanting to do.
And I didn't get his name, but
This gentleman right here, he made a great point. I did not know you can go to a bank and ask for money. You know, they'll loan you money on everything, but I didn't know that that would be an option. I never thought about it. That would be a good option.
And I included it in your packet. He wrote an article a while back and for us, and I included it. So just in case you need to go back and look at your notes, it's in there.
yeah. And another thing that I want to tell everybody is keep in mind that's also going to help the value of our houses.
Everything is only gonna go up. Once you have a good road, you know, if you wanna sell your house, there's gonna be a lot of people wanting to buy that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are not willing to buy anything in that area because of the road. I was not one of them. I opted for a better price versus the road, but that would definitely increase our values, and we don't gotta go to the mechanic anymore.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's a good point. There's on page 11 and 12, I kind of had a little bit of a appraisal on the property. And I just took random houses and then another house that's not on Frontier Trail. All of the properties have increased, so it's a good thing. But the difference between like a house that I took from Frontier Trail versus another house that's not on Frontier Trail is the percentage on how much it has appraised. So I don't know if that will kind of weigh in your future decision making, but I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that I mean, anybody can do this. You can kind of point your appraisal on a house and see within 5 miles and see if there's a difference. So
Now, another question that I do have,
And I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wasn't trying to interrupt you. Is the city willing to help us? Basically, what we're trying to say is, if we need any help with any contractors, you know, let's say we get together, we decide to fix the road, we're getting a loan from the bank, or, you know, we get together, however the means are, is the city willing to help us find a third-party
Yes.
contractor?
The answer is absolutely, and in fact, we're working on League Road. We are moving in that process right now, and we are using, as a contractor, the county service providers, the road crew. It takes a little more time, but it's a lot less expensive, and so it saves a lot of money. So yeah,
that was my next point was, you know, you guys do a lot more business with people like building roads and stuff like that. So they're, you know, versus if I go there and talk to them, they're probably gonna say, well, it's gonna be this much because you only give us, you know, you're only gonna give us one-time work and we're done. So being a businessman myself, I know that, you know, if the city would get involved and say, look, you know, let's get together, let's do something, then they'll probably give us a better price, because obviously price matters for us. So the lower the cost we can get it to be, the better for everybody.
For us too. The only caveat may be that since it's not a city street, that they may not be able to do it, but we will definitely look into it and find whatever means we can to, because we do go to these conferences and there's road crew type places and yeah, we'll definitely look
Mayor,
into that. Yes, Mr. Butler?
I'd be more than happy to provide a few names. We have to be careful about the issue of partiality so that everybody has an opportunity to offer a bid for
Bid,
the
right.
project. And so if I came up with 2 or 3 or 4 names for them to contact, then they could contact and make their decision.
Including the county?
Sorry?
Including the county?
Includes the county, but the county, I don't think will do.
They won't.
That road, no, they'll only do the city road.
I just realized League is the city road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do have contractors, as, you know, Dave has dealt with, you know, several different projects and stuff, and overseen all these different, you know, projects and engineering, that he'll know who to point you to, and then it's a bidding process, and they'll bid it against themselves, which I think
The
Mr.
main
Nickel
reason
had.
why I want to get the city involved is, first of all, you know, if the city comes and represents the people, which is us, you know, the contractors have tendency to do a better job, to watch what they're doing, because, I mean, if the city is involved, they might think, well, you know, maybe we can get their future, you know, future business, or, you know.
Have you
I'm
ever
just
heard the
saying-
expression government job, government work and versus private? I'm just kidding, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure that the city would have that much weight. But we would definitely help you guys in any way we could.
Okay.
That's legal, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
We don't want to.
Mr. Nickel, I think, had a question too, if you, or a comment.
Yeah, just, yeah.
We had 3 private contractors bid on our road, and in the process, we also found out who was doing the work for the state on FM 1139, thinking that while they were right there, it would be a good deal. But they'd have a separate contractor to do the prep work and a separate contractor to do the paving. Talked to both of them, and their costs were astronomical. They weren't even in the same ballpark.
Okay, well, there goes that theory. Thank you, Mr. Nickel, for clarifying that. That's good. Hello, Tish.
Hi.
Mrs. Sorensen, good to see you tonight.
Good to see you, thank you. Well, I have a question about the standard, because 30 years ago, when the county okayed Jim Hunt's road, we took him to court, the residents at that time, there was a half-an-inch base, and it made an inch of gravel, and that was okay with the county. So I'm just asking, what kind of standard are we looking at? You know, what kind of road standard, specifications, are we gonna be given those parameters of how the road should be?
Well, that would be for Mr. Nickel. Come on up. Come on up, Mr. Nickel.
I can help.
Mr. Nickel can help.
Okay, you can help with telling us what specs.
Private company's gonna do a lot better job probably because they don't want bad reputation, so they're gonna probably do a pretty good job for you.
Okay.
And the people that did ours, they seem to be doing a good job, don't you think, Herb? Yeah? Yes, sir.
Sir.
Myron Knudsen, 1060 Frontier Trail.
Say your name again, what?
Myron Knudsen, 1060 Frontier Trail.
Yes, sir.
You said the city would be of service. Could we assume by you saying that you would have your engineer available to review the plans and specifications that the contractor would give to us, so that we would know that, and you would know that the road is going to be built correctly, designed correctly?
I can say that we cannot, that the city engineer would not be able to do it under the city, but I can pretty much guarantee, or I can not guarantee, but I have a very good sense that if I ask Dub, hey, would you do these people a favor and just go out, take a look at those specs for them as just an act of kindness, pro bono, that he would probably be willing to do that. He's a good man. So, yeah, I'll talk to Dub about that.
Okay, and then the second question to you, Mr. Ventura. Yeah, did you hire somebody to make sure that the contractor was building it correctly?
Good question.
Yeah, that is an excellent question. We hired an engineering company to come out and take core samples before they started so that they would know what was underneath the surface. And they are the ones that developed the spec that we used to give to the contractors that they bid with. Then we debated whether to hire another engineering company to come back during construction to monitor it, to make sure they were building what we did. And our homeowners voted not to spend that extra money because they assumed that every company would do a good job, and that turned out not to be true.
Hey, hold on. How much did that initial engineering core sample thing cost you guys?
$5,000 for the coring.
5,000. Okay.
The report.
Thanks. Does that help? It cost them 5,000. Yeah, come on up.
Larry Reynolds again. I don't live on Frontier Trail, but like they're pointing out, if you build something in the city limits, like our house, we had to get a permit. Don't you have to have a permit for a road?
Dave?
No.
No.
That doesn't make sense to me. That absolutely no sense. When I,
Well, maybe we need to
their
create an
houses,
ordinance.
their houses you just built on Frontier Trail, did they not have to have permits?
Yeah, I have to get permission.
Then why don't you have to have a permit for a road? See? If you gotta have a permit for the house, now who makes that decision then?
You know,
I mean,
I've never thought about it, but if that's something we should be looking into, that's a great
Lisa.
point. Mrs. City Secretary, Ms. Paloma?
I was actually sitting here thinking about the same thing, that most cities would have an inspector come out and actually approve work, but that's usually in cases where the city does own the road. But we could maybe look at, we're looking at our ordinances anyway. You know, normally we'd hold ourselves to a certain standard when we build those roads, but maybe we could work with our city attorney and our planner and engineer and see if we can write something as we look at these ordinances while they're planning, and see if we can't put something in there to where they would actually, a company would have to come and obtain a permit, and then it would have to have some sort of final inspection by our city engineer. But we'd have to look into the process. We don't have it in place at the moment, but I think it's a possibility.
It's common sense, that's the problem.
Yeah, well, that's, well, another thing, well, like the house next door to Myron's there, they made my nephew put the city, the old city council, made him put a 6-inch driveway, 6-inch thick driveway to that house that has all the horse problems. But, and it just didn't make sense.
Huh.
And that was permitted.
Well, you know, I'm glad you brought it up. So we can't deliberate it because it's not on the agenda, but to me, it sounds like a great idea. So let's go ahead and get that on one of the agendas coming up as we go through the ordinance thing.
We need to check in with him and make sure that he's coming back soon.
Yeah, he is, Sim Woodham's on that, and he'll give us an update tonight probably.
Okay, good.
That's good.
So,
Other questions or comments?
Just add another cost to that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys coming out and being part of the solution. But I especially, I was telling Dave and Lisa tonight, I'm just blown away by how much work those on the city council do. You know, Ms. Balcom, I don't know when you sleep, but you deserve much sleep, and I appreciate all the work that you've done, because I've gotten so many emails from her on League Road, on Frontier Trail, League Road, and I just appreciate you taking time to take care of citizens, even though we can't do much for them from a city point of view. I appreciate you working toward that solution, so thank you. And, yeah, please.
I just want to make sure that everybody knows that, I mean, I really do care, and I want to be able to help you guys, and this is not me telling you what to do, this is all just ideas, solutions, and then hopefully y'all can get together soon and figure out what you would like to do. Oh, you would like to say something?
Yes, please, sir.
Don Alexander, I'm on Frontier Trail. I got a question. Frontier Trail goes from one-third of it is taken care of and 2/3 of it, the rest of us live on. Why is that? Why is 1/3 of it? If we go down Lee,
Right, well,
and we don't turn on the first part of it, the
Right.
bad part, if we go down where it notches and goes down from that point where it goes all the way up to Edwards Road, from there down to the corner,
right,
that's a pretty reasonable road.
right. Because those residents have gotten together and made a handshake agreement, and they get rock dumped, and they get a tractor out there, and, yeah.
Mrs. Osorio is back here. She's one of those residents. Mrs. Osorio, stand up. She's one of those residents. They do.
So this would include, just so you know, it would include the whole thing, you know, so the whole Frontier Trail. So those who are doing it now would need to encompass in whatever this project's gonna be.
Lee Nichols, 700 Frontier Trail, and I'll tell you the history behind this is, this subdivision was what created the Planning and Zoning Commission, because there were no rules in this city for how to build anything, houses included. So that got things started. The road was part of, and to answer Manny, The road is part of the development, and that's why your property line goes to the center of the road, not to the edge of the road. So that's one of the other issues. And in the past, I put several $1,000s worth of rock on that road. Nobody else wants to help, pay for it, so why maintain it? And that's the thing I see now, is we have to have some mechanism to make it where everybody has to pay, otherwise it's not gonna happen. What happened with the people on the east side, when their houses were built, to get their building permit, they had to improve the road to their house. That included Nathan Hodges. He actually had to build a 100,000 road just to get to his house. So, the houses that got built on the bad side should have had that requirement also and didn't for some reason. I don't know what happened.
Well, thank you for the history. I appreciate that. Yes, sir, Mr. Nickel.
I hate to throw water on encouraging note, but anyone who's contemplating building a new road should not be misled. The soil here is going to eat up a new road just as quickly as it will an old road. We were disappointed to find that less than a year after we had our new road installed, that we already had cracks everywhere, big cracks. You could stick your whole fingers up to your knuckle into the cracks in our new road. And we had the builder, the paving contractor come back out and look at it. He said, that's normal. That's not covered under the guarantee. So then we had to collect an additional assessment this year to have them come back and do crack fill because the road was already falling apart. So don't be misled by your plans, that no matter what you do, unless you put down concrete, an asphalt road will not survive.
Yes, sir, come on up, come on up. And I would advise, I'm convinced I should be in the concrete business. I think I'm gonna start investing. Anybody wanna join me? Seriously. Go ahead, sir.
I'm new to the area.
It's okay, what's your name?
My name is Jesse Cuellar. I live on 641 Frontier Trail.
Yes.
I'm still trying to gather all this information. Our biggest neighbor, Sonoma Verde, I realize they're still developing and I'm trying to catch up with the lingo. Everything about phase 2 sounds like new houses being built. On our side where we are, I guess it's a big open field. Perhaps that's where they're building the new homes. I heard a comment earlier about there's perhaps a school being built. My concern is the traffic flow coming from over there. Would that be affecting our road if we get together and put the money to build this new road for us, being a private road? Would we have the, what's the word, I guess the power to reduce that traffic perhaps, if that becomes a problem?
You could put a gate up.
Yeah, you can put a gate up
It's a private
if you
road.
want.
But not on League Road,
No,
just on Frontier Trail.
no, Lee Road I'm not sure if I missed it, but was that city owned or is that?
Yes, League Road is owned by the city, and the developer is actually, part of that whole development agreement with Sonoma Verde was for them to put in a road, but not until after the development was done. So we've kind of negotiated, the developer's been very generous, very kind to go ahead and move forward with finishing out that road now. So, and we're moving it forward on that.
I'm not sure if, I guess my house is more actually on Frontier than it is closer to the corner where League and Frontier meet. But I have noticed a lot of traffic recently through there, perhaps because like everybody's saying that the west side, I guess you could say, of Frontier is pretty damaged. More people, I feel, are probably cutting around to get to their homes, which is fine, we're all residents of there. My concern was just people coming from Sonoma Verde or getting to the school eventually, if that's gonna be a new thing, a new development.
Well, I do not believe that the access to the school is going to go through League Road. I think it's going to go, you're going to have to go to one of the entrances of Sonoma Verde. Because it's my understanding that when the school is built, if the school is built, I mean, it is down the road. And there's no plans yet. The RSD is still looking far down the road. But if and when that happens, I do not believe it's going to go down League Road. to get to
They'll
the
go
school.
down League, not Frontier.
They'll go down.
They'll go down League into Sonoma Verde entrance.
Does League,
Not-
oh, that's right, it
not-
goes to the back, doesn't it?
Right, not, but it won't, but it shouldn't go to Frontier because they're not going, there's not gonna be an access point off of Frontier into Sonoma Verde.
And you know, there's other ideas possibly that we can help that, and so these are ideas. These are not decisions. I know people are going to get upset. Someone's going to throw this and say that Steinhagen's saying this. I'm not. I'm saying this is an idea, but we could find ways to make it a one-way road or something, especially from Edwards, that you can only go one way. I mean, that's an idea. So we're willing to work on solutions to keep that traffic to a minimum. But none of these things were thought about when they approved that development. They weren't. Nothing was. So you guys, unfortunately, are the beneficiaries of poor planning.
I think that answers all my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Yep. Come on up.
Given the fact that we have, you know, like Stephen said, you know, the HOAs, if we can, you guys mentioned that we can have the HOAs and set our own rules, kind of lighten up the rules instead of following the deed restrictions and what those rules are. I think that makes it a lot easier for everybody to agree to, right? Be able to collect the funds just for the street. So I think since we have the opportunity where everybody's here now, is there a way we can set up like a follow-up meeting about an HOA and maybe bringing in an attorney? Because I don't think any of us have a house where we can all fit, right?
Yeah, you can do it here.
And do it here.
Do it here.
And say, hey, we bring the lawyer here, we talk about the deed restrictions, we talk about maybe get some actual numbers from different contractors and saying, hey, look, here's the dollars. What happens when we get the loan, we get the street in, we eventually get it paid off, what happens after it gets paid off? Does
Then you
the
fix it
HOA
again.
It only lasts, this is just from observation.
Mhm.
The road, the type of road repair that's most likely what you're gonna choose is gonna probably only last 5 years.
Or 10.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to have to do some sort of maintenance account to just keep up with it, you know, just, wouldn't you say, Mr. Nickel?
We're hoping for a 20-year life with lots of maintenance.
Yeah, right.
And he has blacktop. They have, is it considered blacktop? Yeah. So depending on what you guys decide, it may depend on the finances and how much you guys want to raise, or the loan type, whatever that case. I would say just try to get like 3 different types of quotes, you know, on different versions of roads to determine what you guys want to do. But it's all depending on how long that road may be warranted for. But if you're gonna go down like the gravel type almost.
No. Well, I mean, me personally, I wouldn't put a Band-Aid on it like that. But if we're gonna actually put a road, you know, you have to do it at a section at a time, and then half of it so you don't keep the traffic out, right? Otherwise, people won't be able to get in and out. The road's already narrow as it is, so we'd have to widen the road and then do half of it, and then do the other half.
Yeah.
And so there's a traffic control and safety issues that you can deal with because of that. So all that has to be accounted for on the budget. And
Your challenge is, first of all, you need a point person. So someone needs to take the ball. Ms. Balcom, I think, has taken it as far as she can, and so if you want to be that person, Ms. Sorensen, Mr. Nichols, any one of you, somebody needs to take the ball and run with it. But I do want to say one thing, Mr. Manny, is when it came to that deed restriction, remember, you're bound by the deed restriction until 67% of your homeowners agree to either nullifying it, changing it, amending it, whatever. So
You have to address this thing with your attorney to move forward.
yeah, so just understand, you can't just focus on the roads unless 67% say, yes, we want our HOA, we want to get rid of the deed restrictions, whatever. Does that make sense? I don't want to mislead you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It doesn't take out the thing about the zoning, okay? that zoning is with the city and that still is in effect.
Yeah,
Okay.
we won't be able to modify that.
What I would suggest while everyone is here, I'm sure we've got a tablet that everyone write their name, email, phone number, you know, and at least get a process, you know, going of at least who to start, and then just start adding neighbors as you've got that. But, you know, again, it's gonna, I think, as the mayor has said, it's gonna take one point person to get this kind of going, and then sort of make up whatever meeting time, day you want, get a hold of Lisa, and we'll make this available for you.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you're
Okay.
signing that, I'm sorry, if you're signing that tablet, maybe if you could print your name for me and, maybe an email contact as well as a phone number, would be great, and your address.
So the city secretary is sending around a pad for everyone on the road, on Frontier Trail to fill in your contact information. She'll put it all together for you and send it out to you so that everyone has the contact stuff. Yes, Mrs. Osorio.
Hi, I'm Melody Osorio. I live at 651 Frontier Trail. And I just had a comment about the neighborhood and mentioning the HOAs and getting together and all. I think it's called Frontier Meadows.
Correct.
And that includes League Road residents as well.
Oh, is that right?
Only on that side.
Only on that side?
Yes.
Yes.
Only on the side of Frontier Trail, so half of League Road then? So you're on the other side of like Regina and Brent, they're all in the Frontier Meadows?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so they would need to be included in
Okay.
the discussions, right?
That's good to know. Thank you. Good point. Okay, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to recess into executive session in accordance with Government Code Section 551071, which is consultation with attorney to conduct a private consultation with the city attorney to seek advice about pending or contemplated litigation or on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the city council under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the state with the Texas Open Meetings Act regarding Communications Tower Group LLC versus the City of McLendon-Chisholm et al. And the City of McLendon-Chisholm Board of Adjustment case number 317 CB 02658B, Indy, Texas, and regarding fire protection services and related matter, and section 551074 personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, and duties of a public officer or employee, city administrator, and city secretary administrative assistant. We are now recessed into executive session.
Okay, ma'am? No, yeah. Oh, be quiet, Scott. I got this.
Are we recording?
Thank you. Thanks so much for, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to tell you beforehand that we were going to be, and it was perfect that you were here. You know, it's,
I'll tell you guys, man, I'm glad you're here to give a little advice. You know,
You just haven't gone through the road situation.
you may be a consultant. No.
no, being real, just,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was actually waiting for you to drop the bomb of how much it actually cost for,
yeah.
what was it, 3/4 of a mile? Yeah.
They asked how long it was, and I said, I don't remember. I think it's 80,000 square feet, but I don't know what it
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe that 39-mile road, because that view is.
Did they do it in two half and half, or did they just do it in sections?
They do it side by side, but they did the whole thing, but they always kept one lane passing.
Okay, so they did, okay.
Because we have a cul-de-sac and you can't get out from the other end, so they had to keep everybody open all the time.
Yeah, that's our issue too. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and, we'll reconvene back into regular session. The time is 10:10 p.m. There was no action on items A, B, or C of executive session items. We're now moving to item number 10, a resolution approving a letter of intent with the MCVFD. I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution. Mayor Pro Tem Orchard.
Yes, I move that the council approves a resolution of the City Council of the City of McLendon-Chisholm, Texas, approving a letter of intent for transition of the McLendon-Chisholm Volunteer Fire Department into a newly created city fire department, authorizing the mayor to sign the letter of intent.
All right, a motion to approve the resolution has been entered. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Turnbull is seconded. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, you have the floor to speak to your motion.
Nothing at this time, other than that the transition is going to start immediately moving forward to have the MCVFD become a municipal city department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Turnbull.
I don't know how picky we have to be. You didn't mention authorizing the contract negotiations when you read your resolution. So I have a friendly amendment, if that's necessary.
Can you be specific to the amendment?
I know it. So would amend that this would continue to, or this would give authorization to move into the contract negotiations from the LOI.
Mr. Turnbull?
Very good.
Okay. With no objection, the resolution is amended. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. The motion carries unanimously. Item number 10, resolution authorizing action for establishing a City of McLendon-Chisholm Fire Department. I'll entertain a motion to do that very thing. Mr. Turnbull, you have the floor.
Mr. Mayor, I present a resolution of the City Council of the City of McLendon-Chisholm, Texas, authorizing the mayor or his designees to take actions and approve initial filings necessary for establishing a city-owned and operated fire department regulated by the Texas Commission on Fire Protection and providing an effective date.
Okay, motion to accept the resolution as stated has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem has seconded the motion. Mr. Turnbull, you have the floor to speak to your motion.
No discussion.
Mr. Orchard.
No, this just follows that part of what the city needs to do to our responsibility of this negotiations.
All right. Other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. We're now moving on to council member reports and announcements. I'm going to move to Mr. Turnbull. Do you have anything to report?
No, sir.
Mr. Herron?
No, sir. Tomorrow night it will be the roads consortium, and so at the next city council meeting, I'll have an update for you.
Very good. I know Mr. Woodham does, so Mr. Woodham, you have the floor.
Yeah, Kurt Franklin got back with the review of the city codes, and Lisa had emailed it to me, and I read it over. It's not too bad. It's only like 17 pages. Well, considering what the codes are, it's
Yeah.
not that bad. So if you like, I can kind of, and it's an easy read. It's not like it's very tedious or anything. You can get through it pretty quick. I can forward it on if it's okay, and everybody can look it over. And then I think from there, what we can do is kind of break it down and take sections at a time. And what it looks like Perks wants to do is either have a conference call, or if we get him advance notice, he can come in and we can sit down and kind of go through it. It's his opinion that it's probably not, there's only minor changes or things that we need to do, but we definitely need to look at it. In my opinion, there's a lot of updates. Yeah, a lot of codes and laws have been changed and need to be updated for us to move forward with this. So as soon as we're done with our big item that we going on right now, I recommend that we move into it pretty quickly, and we can probably make some real fast headway.
Fantastic. Yeah, do you want the city secretary to try to organize, set up that meeting or conference call, or we could probably iChat with him as well?
Yeah, I don't think we should do it right this second, but probably no later in April, we can probably get it going.
Maybe the second, I was thinking the second meeting in March.
Yes.
Can you see if he's available?
Mm-hmm.
We could do an iChat, which would be helpful for us, and that way, we're going to do an open session, correct?
Well, would it have to be open session? Because I think it'd be more productive if we do it in like a workshop where we're not pressed for time, and we can come in when everybody's available and
Okay.
earlier in the day, so we ain't here
Okay.
late in the night. What's that?
Saturday.
Yeah, probably so.
On a Saturday? Oh, good. Okay. That'd be great. Okay. Okay, so when are you thinking about timeline? In April? Okay. Sure. Okay, that's great. And the other thing I think we as a council sometimes forget is you have vast experience in government, and you understand a lot about this kind of thing. So I think having you as not just secretary, but also as a participant in this can really be helpful. So I'm really appreciate more than you know that your willingness to pour through these things. Yes. Okay. that Mr. Ellis? Okay, yes, I agree.
That we may want to tag that on as part of this package.
Absolutely.
While we're doing it.
And what about that recommendation on the streets having,
Yeah, Mr. Haskell wrote an ordinance a couple of weeks ago, and we kind of skimmed over it, and I don't think we were ready to address it. Part of what we did was reinforce the fact that roads are private, and that they are to be maintained by the public. But I think we could probably also address that when they are maintained, they need to be up to the city standards. So we might be making into a subdivision. You know, if we're gonna have a big redo of a road, we want to think about remediation.
Consistent.
requiring that they be inspected, that kind of thing?
The city could consider though, if you're looking at somebody, an HOA, you know, someone else's, it's a huge expense if you have concrete or dirt, whatever they currently have, but if you facilitate more.
Okay.
Just something to tell you the cost benefit.
All right, great. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Well, so if we want to take it the second meeting in April, if we need that much time, let's do it. Or if we want to wait until after the election, we can also do it. But, yeah, I mean, whenever we're ready, let's go ahead and pull the trigger, and whenever you think everybody's.
I'll have it out as well, so especially during the week of the council.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Mr. Woodham?
No, I'm right there with her.
Okay. Anything else?
No?
Good. So it was a good investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, for that recommendation. So that was good.
Oh, yes.
Councilmember Balcom.
Well, I forgot to ask you, did you get a chance to talk to the mayor about the animal? Because this is associated with that.
I did not. He is going to, I'm seeing him tomorrow, so we're going to talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so to catch you up, there is no coffee chat this week. There's a couple of scheduling conflicts, and so there's no coffee chat this week. It turned out to be a lot of good responses. I even had correspondence through email, so it was just good conversation, and I think everybody enjoyed having the coffee chat, and there was a lot of good response saying that we should probably do this more often, not necessarily doing it every single week, but that it's good to have that face time. The things that I'm working on next is I got it was actually a couple weeks ago, I was looking at social media policies are being a little bit more honed in now, and so that's going to be something I'm working on next as social media policy.
So social media policy for the city?
Yes.
Gotcha, great.
Yes, and they already, TML has kind of did a workshop a while back. I considered going, but we ended up, it was a webinar.
Okay.
So there's, we got documents from that, and Lisa was gracious enough to forward those things to us. So it's kind of like a little bit of a reference. And there's also other cities that are going down this route and everything. So another thing that I'm working on is the next agenda. I'm going to do like a lineup of being able to reach out to the local businesses in McLendon-Chisholm. They're not necessarily brick and mortar, but there's possibility that they may be considering doing brick and mortar. If they so choose to, they can at least listen to hear all of the types of things that they could do within the city and kind of like give like an educational aspect of what the city can do for them or the relationship and how to start that process. And it's also going to be like a networking kind of brunch. So I'm going to have that information ready at the next city council meeting so that you guys could see that as something I would like to get your, I guess, an approval, so that we can have it, because it will require us to do some catering. I'm not talking like big fireworks show or anything, but it would be nice to have. And
What target around what day are you looking around?
I haven't got that far yet.
Okay.
So, but I would like it to be within the next 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
So.
Did you pick up anything? I mean, were the portion where people exited the city survey and went into the email opt-in? Did we ask any questions about, are you a business owner or anything like that? Maybe that, I wish we would have
I
now.
know, we wish, we
Yeah.
asked all the other types of questions if you're a veteran and anything, or a teacher.
Yeah.
But, maybe the next round we'll do that. One
Okay.
thing that, and that's the other thing too. So today, the committees, for the emergency ad hoc committee that I'm chairing, the applications went out today.
Great.
So,
How many people said they were
was-
interested?
that was about 16.
Great.
But we'll see if they'll come back with the applications and stuff. So, so we have 2 already?
Wow.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Was that were you one of them? Okay. So we'll know by next city council meeting to be able to appoint. So we're gonna, move this thing pretty quickly. So, that's all I have. So.
Well, I gave a summary state of the city address at the Rockwall County Chamber of Commerce last Wednesday, along with the other 4 mayors, and basically it was a 7-minute. I skimmed over the high points, very positive, spoke a lot about the first survey and why people choose McLendon-Chisholm, talked about why, what kind of businesses people are looking for, talked a little bit about the very raw data that we had just gotten in because the survey had just really closed and we're just now starting to look at the survey results. But in all of that, I was, and in the State of the City address that I'll be delivering at the next meeting, I highlighted the incredible work of every member of this city council and talked about each of you by name, talked about the things that you are doing, and that this is the most extraordinary group of people that I've worked with, especially since we don't get paid to do it, and the fact that we have members of council who are presenting PowerPoint presentations. In fact, as I reflect, I don't think that I have given one PowerPoint presentation since being mayor. I've given a lot of presentations, but no PowerPoints, nothing with a voluminous research and that kind of thing. We've had several PowerPoint presentations, and when I say PowerPoint, I mean, I don't necessarily mean the things on the screen, but I mean presentations that are well thought out, that are organized, and that present research and push push us forward in thinking. And so, I think that's just an extraordinary testament to the incredible work that all of you have done, and it makes my life so much easier. And I know that Lisa and Dave and I sometimes we talk about how amazed we are that you guys are so very, very much involved. And so, Sim, I know you're not running for re-election, but we will miss you when you do step off, because it's been great having you. I mean, you've been such a great asset to the council. I just can't say enough. I just want to thank you all for the incredible work and that each of you do. But I did want to highlight that the Rockwall County Chamber of Commerce went really well. It was well attended. I did talk about the brunch that Adrian was going to have coming up, and so I know that there are people who are going to be paying attention to that. So I hope that they do. And I was glad that they invited McLendon-Chisholm, because honestly, when I'm sitting there listening to the other budgets and the other plans and stuff like that, I got up there and said, yeah, our budget's about 1.2 million. Yeah, I said 1.1 to 1.2 million. I said, yeah, we're just a little bit smaller than all the rest, but still, they gave us equal time, and it was a really great experience. Good for our city. We have financial reports, we have reports coming in. Is there, Madam Secretary, is there anything that on these reports that we would need to take a closer look at? Very good, thank you. Finally, we have approval of the minutes from the January 23rd and January 13th, 2018 regular City Council meeting and the February 22nd, 2018 special City Council meeting. So, has everyone had a chance to review these? I caught a couple typos. Okay, all right. So, with the exception of typos or things like that. Are there any changes or amendments?
I had.
Yes.
Well, can I speak on that one?
Please.
January 23rd, I did send in additional information on citizen comments.
So they're up to date? Yeah, 23rd. So, Madam, I'll give you some time, Ms. Balcom, to look at that.
For the 23rd?
January 23rd?
Yeah, how do I? I wonder if I need to refresh it. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I see it now. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, any other? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem is moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Turnbull is seconded. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, you have the floor to speak to your motion.
Nothing to talk about?
Mr. Turnbull?
No, sir.
Is there any other comments? Hearing none, motion passes by unanimous consent without objection. With that, Mr. Turnbull, you have the floor for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
A second.
Motion passes by unanimous consent without objection. Thank you all very much. Good night. The time is 10:30.